I'm Gladys. Sitting here in the courtroom, I can still feel the tension in the air. My father and sister, with their false concern, are trying to have me declared incompetent. They're painting me as a delusional mess, all for the $3 million my late husband left behind. But they don't know what's coming. It all started when I met my husband, Leo. It was at a friend's beach wedding in Malibu. I was 28, working in real estate, and he was 31, an up-and-coming software engineer. We were seated at the same table, and his sense of humor just drew me in. He had been pulling long hours on a big project, but I managed to make him forget about his exhaustion. We got married a year later in a small ceremony on the cliffs overlooking the ocean, with my father walking me down the aisle and my sister, Lily, as my maid of honor. Life was good. In 2018, we bought a beautiful Spanish-style house in the hills of Los Angeles. It had a view of the city lights that took our breath away every night. We talked about having kids, but we were also content just being together. For 10 years, we traveled to places like Greece, New Zealand, and Brazil. We had our own little traditions, like Saturday morning hikes and Sunday movie marathons. Leo was a terrible cook, but he always tried, and I took care of the finances. On our 8th anniversary, we sat on the patio, watching the sunset. Leo took my hand and said, "I want to grow old with you, watch the world change from this very spot for the next 50 years. I laughed and said, 50 years? You'll be an old man. He replied, perfect. We'll be the old couple sharing stories about our adventures. But then, in 2026, our world shattered. Leo was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive form of spinal cancer. The doctor, Dr. Harris, sat us down in his office and told us that with treatment, the median survival was 12 to 13 months. Leo, being the rational man he was, started asking technical questions about the tumor's location, treatment options, and prognosis. All I could hear was that our time together was limited. We decided to go ahead with the treatment. On the way home, Leo pulled over at a scenic overlook. I started sobbing, but he just held me tight and said, "We're going to fight this, but I need you to promise me that if my family or yours tries to interfere, you trust me, even if I'm not here." I didn't fully understand what he meant, but I promised. The surgery was successful, and Leo woke up mostly himself. The next day, my father and Lily came to visit. They brought flowers and offered help, but my father started asking a lot of questions about our finances. Who was handling Leo's work while he recovered? What were our plans if he couldn't work again? I thought he was just being a concerned father, but looking back, it was the start of their scheme. As Leo started his radiation treatment, I took a leave from work to take care of him. My father texted me constantly, asking about Leo's condition and offering help. Leo saw the texts and told me, "Don't tell your father about my estate plan." I was confused, but I trusted him. One day, without warning, my father showed up at the hospital. He went straight to Leo's treatment waiting room and asked to speak privately. I was in the cafeteria getting coffee. When Leo told me what happened that evening, I was furious. My father had said to Leo, "You're very sick. Olivia isn't prepared to handle things on her own. You should update your will and let our family help manage things when you're gone." Leo, in his calm but firm way, replied, "My will is up to date. Are you suggesting that my wife will be incompetent after I'm gone? That's absurd." My father pushed further, saying that the cancer might be affecting Leo's judgment. That's when Leo lost his temper and told my father to leave. That night, Leo was shaken, not by the thought of dying, but by the fear of what my father would do to me. He said he was going to make sure I was protected. The next day, he called his estate attorney, Mr. Thompson. He explained the situation and said he wanted to set up an irrevocable trust. He put all his assets, including his life insurance, the buyout from his company, and our retirement accounts, into the trust. The trustee was a large financial institution, Pacific Trust, so that even if someone somehow got guardianship over me, they couldn't touch the principal. But Leo didn't stop there. He also hired a forensic accountant, Miss Reed, to investigate my father and Lily's finances. 2 weeks later, the results were in. It turned out that my father had taken out a large loan against his house in 2025. He was behind on payments, and his monthly income was far from enough to cover the mortgage. Lily had co-signed the loan and was drowning in credit card debt. They were on the verge of foreclosure. Leo showed me the report and said, "They're planning to use your inheritance to solve their problems." I couldn't believe it. "That's crazy," I said. Leo replied, "It's not crazy if it works. That's why we're stopping them." In January 2027, Leo decided to record a video. He sat in Mr. Thompson's office with a professional videographer, a notary, and 4 witnesses, Mr. Thompson, Dr. Miller from Leo's workplace, a nurse named Sarah, and a notary public, Mr. Davis. In the 8-minute video, Leo recounted my father's visit to the hospital, word for word. He explained the forensic findings, the financial desperation of my father and Lily. He described the trust structure and how it would protect me. Then, he looked straight into the camera and said, "Gladys, if you're watching this, it means I was right about your family. I wish I wasn't. You are the strongest and most capable person I know. You've managed our life, our finances, and my care through this nightmare. Grief won't break you. Talking to my photo isn't delusion, it's remembrance. Don't let them take your voice, your home, or the life we built. I've made sure the law protects you." His voice cracked as he said, "I love you, and I'll always love you. I'm making sure you're safe, even from the grave." Dr. Miller took a sealed USB drive with the master copy of the video. Mr. Thompson kept another, and a third was sent to Pacific Trust. Leo gave Dr. Miller one instruction: if Gladys's family files a competency petition, bring this to court. Leo passed away on October 10, 2027. I was holding his hand when he took his last breath. In his final moments of lucidity, he looked at me and said, "Don't let them take your voice." I promised him I wouldn't. After the funeral, I was lost. I started a new routine of sitting in our bedroom every night at 9:15, the time Leo passed away, lighting a candle and talking to his photo. I'd tell him about my day, the bills I paid, the small things that reminded me of him. I started seeing a grief counselor, Dr. Green, who Leo had recommended before he died. At our first session, I confessed my nightly ritual. Dr. Green assured me that it was a normal way of grieving, called continuing bonds. She wrote in her notes that I was exhibiting a normal grief response with no signs of delusion or impaired functioning. My father started showing up unannounced, bringing groceries I didn't need and offering to help with paperwork. He'd comment on how big the house was for one person and ask about my finances. On one occasion, he asked, "What are you going to do with this house? It's a lot to handle alone." I told him I was staying. He then said, "Well, with Leo's money, it might last for a while, but not forever." I mentioned the trust, and I could see a flash of frustration in his eyes, but he quickly masked it. Around Christmas, Lily and my father invited me to dinner. It was tense. Lily kept saying how hard it must be to have my first Christmas without Leo. My father kept refilling my wine glass. Lily asked if I'd visited Leo's grave. I said I'd stayed home and talked to his photo, just like I did every night. I realized then that I'd given them ammunition. A few days later, Lily came over. At 9:15, I excused myself to go upstairs for my ritual. As I was talking to Leo's photo, I heard a floorboard creak. Lily was standing in the doorway. She said, "Gladys, who are you talking to?" "He's gone." I told her it was just a ritual. She said, "It's okay. We'll get you help." I told her to leave. I then heard her on the phone in the driveway. "Dad, she's worse than we thought. We can't wait anymore. File in January." I knew then that they were up to something. On February 5, 2028, I was served with a petition for emergency guardianship and conservatorship. My father and Lily were the petitioners, and I was the respondent. The petition claimed that I was exhibiting signs of complicated grief, had a delusional attachment to my deceased husband, and was at risk of squandering the estate. They even included photos of me at the cemetery talking to Leo's headstone. I called Dr. Green immediately. She was appalled and wrote a letter to the court stating that I was fully competent and that my grief rituals were normal. She also referred me to a lawyer, Miss Carter, a guardianship defense specialist. Ms. Carter reviewed the petition and said it was a weak case but still dangerous. She asked if Leo had any concerns about my family. I told her about the arrangements he'd made and that Dr. Miller had something. I called Dr. Miller, and he said he'd been expecting my call. He met me at a coffee shop and gave me a sealed envelope. He said Leo had made a video 10 months before his death, predicting everything that was happening. He said the video would destroy their case but that we should only use it in court if necessary. The court date was set for April 12, 2028. In the courtroom, my father and Lily sat with their attorney, Mr. Reed. The judge, Judge Thompson, entered the room. Mr. Reed presented their case, saying that I was a grieving widow who needed family oversight for my own protection. Ms. Carter cross-examined my father. She asked if he'd ever had me evaluated by a medical professional. He said they'd consulted Dr. Brown, but Dr. Brown had never examined me. She also asked about his uninvited visits to my house and his attempts to photograph documents in Leo's office. The psychiatrist, Dr. Brown, gave his opinion that I had signs of complicated grief with possible delusional features. But Ms. Carter's cross-examination demolished his credibility. She pointed out that he had never met me, only relied on family reports, and was being paid $3,500 for his testimony. Lily also testified, claiming to be terrified for me. But Ms. Carter's cross-examination showed that she had made decisions for me without my consent and was financially entangled with my father. When it was my turn to testify, I told the judge that my husband had left evidence that would speak for itself. Just then, Dr. Miller entered the courtroom, carrying a manila envelope. My father's face turned pale. Dr. Miller took the stand and explained that Leo had made the video to protect me from financial exploitation. The judge allowed the video to be played. As Leo's face appeared on the screen, I gasped. His voice filled the courtroom as he recounted my father's actions, the financial situation of my family, and the trust he'd set up to protect me. The courtroom was silent as the truth unfolded. My father tried to interrupt, but the judge silenced him. After the video ended, there was a long moment of silence. The judge then took a 15-minute recess. When the court reconvened, the judge questioned Lily and my father. Lily admitted that she knew about my father's financial problems and that they had planned to use my inheritance to save their house. My father tried to deny the accuracy of the video, but the judge saw through his lies. The judge ruled that I was fully competent to manage my personal and financial affairs. She dismissed the petition with prejudice and ordered my father and Lily to pay my attorney fees of $28,600 within 90 days. She also prohibited them from contacting me without my explicit written consent. As I left the courtroom, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Dr. Miller handed me the USB drive with the video and said, "Leo would be proud of you." I drove home alone and sat in the driveway for a while, just breathing. I still talk to Leo's photo every night at 9:15. I'm still seeing Dr. Green, but now it's monthly. My father paid the attorney fees, and he hasn't contacted me since the trial. Lily sent me a couple of letters, but I haven't opened them yet. I've decided to get involved with a cancer research foundation in Leo's memory. I donate $5,000 a month from the trust distributions. I'm also thinking about going back to work, maybe in real estate consulting. I've learned that love can outlast death, and the truth will always prevail. I won't let anyone take my voice ever again, and I'll always remember Leo's love and protection.